On June 18, 1815, the morning fog slowly dissipates over the muddy fields of Waterloo. Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French, Master of Europe, prepares with 73,000 soldiers on an empty battlefield. Wellington never appeared. The British are probably still enjoying tea somewhere nearby. The Prussians have likely lost their way in the forest. Meanwhile, the French army is about to encounter something that will make them rethink everything they know about war. The AH-64 Apache, the deadliest combat helicopter of humanity, finds itself on a battlefield where muskets and cannons are being used. What will happen when 200 years of military evolution meets the most decisive battle of the 19th century? Can one helicopter stop Napoleon's great army? Let's break it down. Let's start with the absurd. In one corner, 8 tons of the American military-industrial complex, a 2-man Apache helicopter, capable of speeds up to 182 miles per hour and enough firepower to ruin any breakfast with a baguette. In another corner, the Grand Army, 73,000 soldiers who conquered much of Europe using tactics that Napoleon literally wrote a book about. They have horses that are a kind of all-terrain vehicle of the 19th century. They have smoothbore muskets, accurate at a distance of about 50 yards in good weather. The cannons fire solid iron balls using black powder measured with real spoons. Their notion of high technology is a bayonet on a stick. Their communication system consists of people with flags. And the spotter is a Frenchman who squints with all his might. First contact. The sound comes first. This characteristic roar of the propellers spreads across the valley. Half of Napoleon's army mistakes it for thunder. Only the noise of the propellers sends the horses into a panic for miles. The first Hellfire rocket launches from the 16 on board. 8 seconds of flight. 8 seconds as the French artillery crew goes about their usual life, likely complaining about the mud. Then physics takes over, racing at 1.3 times the speed of sound. An explosion. With a powerful shockwave, it not only destroys the cannon but also kills or mortally wounds everyone nearby. One Hellfire missile can easily destroy a tank, so what will happen to an army without armored protection? Seeing the flying metal bird, the nearest troops realize they are fighting something that does not obey the rules. After the first strike, Napoleon begins to adapt. Despite the confusion, he arranges his formations. The Apache pilot switches to the 230mm chain gun under the front fuselage, aiming at soldiers in woolen uniforms standing in neat rows. It feels like using a hammer to break cookies. The famous French columns, having conquered Europe, transform into abstract art painted in mud and horror. The Imperial Guard tries to maintain formation. These elite soldiers marched from Madrid to Moscow, facing every weapon Europe could throw at them. A single burst from a chain machine gun sweeps through the battalion like an invisible scythe. People simply fall. Some survivors do not rush to flee. They are too professional for that, but it doesn't last long. They stand, stunned, trying to comprehend what has happened. Then instinct takes over training, and 20 years of discipline vanish in seconds. The bravest among them try to respond with musket and cannon fire, but it is futile. The Apache is too high. And even if a few shots hit their target, the AH-64 is essentially a flying tank with an armored cockpit. Now it's time for the Hydra 70 rockets. 19 rockets launch one after another, creating a wave of explosions on the battlefield at Waterloo. It's complete chaos for the French army. Psychological damage turns out to be worse than physical. These men have fought through grape shot, musket fire, and everything the 19th century war could offer. But it disrupts something fundamental in their perception of reality. It is impossible to attack what is flying. It is impossible to evade something moving at 150 miles per hour. It is impossible to stand against laser-guided missiles. That's the Apache's problem, the math. It carries 16 Hellfire missiles, 76 rockets, and 1,200 rounds for the chain gun. It seems like a lot until you face 73,000 people. Even with perfect accuracy, one shot, one hit, an Apache can possibly directly destroy 2,000 soldiers. In a battle from the Napoleonic era, where losses regularly reach 30,000, this is significant, but not decisive. But it's not about the numbers. It's about what these figures do to the state of others. Every time the Apache appears, entire ranks disintegrate. They don't retreat, they disintegrate. Men throw away the muskets that took months to make. They leave behind cannons worth more than they will earn in a lifetime. They abandon the eagles that have carried their regiments for decades. The sound of approaching helicopters alone makes thousands remember urgent matters elsewhere. Napoleon watches as his army evaporates like morning dew, not from losses, but from pure, existential terror. His perfectly disciplined military machine crumbles from fear of a single flying machine. After 2 hours of flight, the warning panel of the Apache looks like a Christmas tree having a panic attack. The fuel level is running low. The two pilots have about 30 minutes before the helicopter crashes. Napoleon notices a pattern. The Iron Bird attacks, then leaves, returns, and then retreats. It does not play with them. It is saving something: resources, energy, time. Napoleon wants to counterattack, but it's too late. His army is in complete disarray, and the Apache has fulfilled its task: to crush the last hope. The flying monster releases its remaining ammunition on the army. These are the men who stood firm while Moscow burned around them, who held the line in Leipzig when everyone else fled. Now they are running from a helicopter. Napoleon's army is completely defeated. An Apache lands with 10 minutes of fuel left. The engines shut down. A sudden silence envelops the battlefield. The most one-sided battle in human history has ended. Duration: 2.5 hours. Napoleon's losses: thousands dead and wounded. The others scattered across the desert. The Apache's losses were minor scratches on the paint and a flashing maintenance indicator. The helicopter is in a Belgian field, gradually becoming the most perplexing archaeological find in the world. Each country in Europe will send its best specialists to study it. They will create detailed drawings that will be incomprehensible. They will take measurements, the significance of which is unclear without context. They will write reports that could be considered fantastic novels. The helicopter will never take to the skies again. It is impossible to make aviation fuel from manure, no matter how hard you try. You cannot create spare parts with hammers and good intentions. You cannot upload software updates using carrier pigeons. Without an enemy army that truly needed to be defeated, Napoleon technically wins at Waterloo. But it is impossible to claim victory when your entire army has dissolved like sugar in the rain. He returns to Paris not as a conqueror, but as a man who has seen the future and realized that his empire is already dead. The Apaches become the greatest mystery of the 19th century. Every conspiracy theory for the next 200 years will reference this. The British claim it was theirs. The Prussians say it was divine intervention. The Russians believe it was a demon. The Austrians are still bogged down in paperwork about it. Could one Apache defeat Napoleon's army? Certainly. This would turn the Grand Army into a great retreat faster than you can watch a movie. It would cause thousands of casualties, destroy irreplaceable equipment, and undermine the morale of the most successful military force in history. What would really happen if we integrated modern military technologies into historical battles? The answer is always the same: absolute dominance for as long as the fuel lasts, followed by centuries of confusion. History is written not only by the victors,